Welcome to Terry TV. Yes, I am a few minutes late, and I apologize. I was having trouble logging on today. We've got a lot of activity out front of my office, so I'll just blame them. Hi, Terry Harden here, Walt Disney's legendary Imagineer. How are you today on this fine Friday? If you live in California, the weather is really neat. We have a little bit of fog today, which is super interesting. I love that. We're supposed to get winds and rains over the weekend. Yay! We're getting a lot of rain here, and it's a happy thing for California because we have been in a horrible drought. So I always dance when the rain happens, and I always welcome it. Welcome, welcome. If you're just joining me for the first time, hello. And what the heck is this channel about? It's basically, can you keep up with my freeway brain? I am an Imagineer. I did movies like Ghostbusters, Men in Black. I am someone who believes that she is the catalyst. If you're someone who is trying to figure out how to make a living doing what you love and you just have no idea how to do that, I'm pretty much the person you need to talk to or to listen to. The best way to listen to me, of course, is on my Patreon page, and it's right here, patreon.com/Terry Harden. For as little as $5 a month, you can have a Zoom call with me once a week, and I broadcast just before I come and see you every Monday and Friday. The Zoom calls bounce around. In fact, on the page, we just decided to do a Zoom call Monday night because, as you may have heard, D23 tickets are coming up, and the tribe wants to have a little bit of advice on the best way to navigate getting the tickets that they want. You can imagine, if you're someone who really doesn't know the ropes, that there are Disney people out there who have it down. And in the tribe, we've got a couple, one in particular, and she's going to join us Monday night on the tribe, on the Zoom call. $5 a month, you kick in $5. And then if you don't like it, you just do what most people do, change the channel, opt out. We're not going to hate you. But it is the place where I get really frank about a lot of things I cannot do on the public channel. And this is because if you are broadcasters out there, or you have your own podcast or your own YouTube channel, you know that you get a lot of hate. So I work behind the closed door to talk about the frank things, the more personal things that have to do with me. I tend to keep behind that door. So here is the key to the kingdom: $5 a month. Just put a jar by the door, throw a quarter in it every day, and you've got that $5. So that is you having skin in the game, and I have skin in the game. Kind of a one hand washing the other type situation. All right. So that's what it's about. Hope you'll join us. Your voice needs to be heard. It's not just me yakking at you. It's you chiming in and giving me feedback. You have feedback on my sculptures. You have feedback on certain situations that we're all in, Disney situations, what's happening with the company, and so on and so forth. We really get pretty deep into it at times. We all adore Walt Disney, so you need to know that we all adore Walt Disney. He did, after all, create Disneyland. Duh. Things like that. Right? Right. So there you go. Today I wanted to talk about several things. You notice in the Terry TV lineup that there's a few things I listed. I didn't just list one thing. I listed a few things. And I'm excited to share with you. Jack Black. Okay, I have to come clean on Jack Black. He was never my favorite actor. In fact, I almost missed one of my favorite. Let me say this slowly. Let's slow down. You can see I'm really energetic today. If you watch me in previous broadcasts, sometimes I'm a little low, and I don't mean to. I try my best, but today I'm up, and I'm up because there's light at the end of any tunnel of challenges that you may have, good and bad. Just if life is dealing you a little bit of a comet lifestyle where you're just sort of holding on, don't worry, that comet will come to a rest and the dust will settle. So that's what I'm going to say. I'm speaking in code, right? Jack Black. Years ago, a movie came out called Kung Fu Panda. And because I heard that Jack Black was doing the voice, I avoided it. Honestly, I did. And then I was in Florida meeting my friends Kendra, and her husband at the time. And Kendra said, they both said, you got to go see this movie. We're going to take you to see this movie. Several firsts for me at that point. First of all, I realized I adored Jack Black as the Kung Fu Panda. He's an absolute rock star. He is adorable as the panda. One of my favorite films I mean, I just love this movie. I can't watch it enough. When it comes on, I have to stop and watch it. Do you have that kind of film in your life where the movie comes on and you're just like, oh, I got to clear my calendar. It's on. Not like it's not going to be on another time, or you may even own it like I do. But Jack Black is a rock star. And I realized that in some of his acting choices, I'm not a fan, but he just can't go do anything wrong as the Kung Fu Panda. And I also liked him in School of Rock, which I hear they might be doing a sequel. But that's not why I mentioned Jack Black today. I mentioned Jack Black today because Jack came up with an incredible idea, and he's passing the word out. He actually reached out. He did not reach out to me personally, so don't even think it. But he reached out to a lot of people, and he said, can you spread the word on this? Because I think this is a way that people can help their children. And that is, when you watch a movie, put up subtitles, especially if you have small children. Because Jack says, if you have small kids and you put subtitles on a movie they know, Mulan, Little Mermaid, or a movie that they love, Kung Fu Panda, that it helps them to learn to read. Isn't this clever? That if you put the subtitles on and you sit with your kids, they will actually be able to improve their reading skills by reading the subtitles of a movie they love. This is a simple thing parents can do for their kids. Jack points out that children were suffering during the pandemic, and that reading scores went down as a result of being isolated. So here's a way for parents to passively help their kids read, instead of sitting opposite them and having them read to you, or you sitting next to them, which is also cool. And they say, puppet, or they say plague, or whatever. Can't imagine you sit with a kid and read about the plague. But the point is, words that are weird, garage, which is pronounced garage, but has an R in it. You know what I mean? So you're there and they go garage, and you say garage, and they sound it out with you. That's great. But now they're watching a movie that they love with their family, popcorn and around the TV, and they can read and learn. And there's a very good chance you don't necessarily always have to be there once you give them a momentum and put that up and say, read it. They'll be reading it out loud. How cool is that? Let me know. But I think it's really a great idea. And Jack, good for you. Good for you for coming up this. And I took this branch from you. I took the baton from you and said I wanted to share it with everyone that I could think of about this really great idea. To be quite honest, it's improved my reading skills. So it really works. And I encourage you to do it. So that's why Jack Black was in my thumbnail today. Terry TV topic, Jack Black, and subtitles. I think it's just brilliant. And congratulations, Jack, for being so brilliant. Blue milk. I had a lot of people. Blue milk. You saw me standing alone. No, that's not how it goes. The blue milk, it was announced that Disney has collaborated with a milk company to create blue milk. It has a Star Wars sticker on the front, and I'll bet you it's going to be very expensive. I want to share you a little hack, okay? I am known as the Star Wars queen. I saw Star Wars 183 times, and I'm in an amazing book called Skywalking, which was the story of George Lucas, and I'm on page 3 and on the index. That's right, TERRI HARDIN. Google it. You'll see it's true. But I used to make blue milk, and you can too. It's a little bit of food coloring and milk. That's it. Food coloring comes in a pack of 4. And what does it cost now? Let's say it costs, let's go high. Let's say it costs $5 for 4. You can tell me in the comments if I'm low, in my pricing. $5, you get 4 colors, usually the primary colors, which blue is a primary color, for those of you who may not know. So blue, yellow, red, and then another color on the end. I think usually green, because they're worried that people will have trouble mixing green. I can't imagine why that would be. But anyway, it's a food coloring. It is something that is it's very highly concentrated. So just a little dab will do you. They're little eyedropper kind of things, and you just put a dot in there and it turns the milk blue. And $5 divided by 4 divided by how many dots per blue, 200. That's better than buying it ready made, guys. So unless you want the label or the bottle shape is exciting you, do yourself a favor and make your own. It's going to be a lot healthier for you. It won't have a lot of chemicals and creepy stuff in it, which many people are suspecting. My friend Evan Hunter of the tribe is suspecting that the blue milk will have a lot of additives you don't want in your milk. So consider that if you must have blue milk. Go on to Amazon or is it Living Spaces? They have those square cups already. I have them here, and I've had them forever. But those square cups that they use in the original Star Wars back in 1977, you can get those pretty easily, and you make the blue milk, and it's awesome. Done it for years. So save yourself some bank and make your own. So that is the blue milk story. And finally, do you agree with George Lucas? George Lucas came out of, well, I guess he wasn't really hiding, but he came out in the open and said he wanted to back Bob Iger. And he went on to say several things that he felt Bob Iger had done that were good. Now, regardless of how you feel about Bob Iger, good or bad, understand that no one is going to be perfect in this position. Okay? There's always going to be someone who's not satisfied. You cannot please everybody in this position. I'm not necessarily saying that what he's done has made me thrilled, but I will say that no matter who we put in there, please don't put JPEG back in there, because I think that guy really screwed it up. But I kind of agreed with some of the things that George said, but not all. And I kind of feel that what all of them need to do, including Bob Iger, is need to ask you, the fans out there. Okay, I've said this before. Walt Disney had an advisory company. Why do you think you're better than Walt Disney? Don't answer that, because you're going to make me upset. So this is my feeling about it. I feel that the best thing that Disney could do to get back on top is to create an advisory committee like Walt did, made up of you guys. And here's the thing. Those of you who are just joining me, or if you're new or you aren't listening to it live, here's the thing. Walt was able to do this, or the team that did this for Walt, okay, gave you something special like a pin or a button or a pad. It gave you some swag to be a part of this advisory committee, made up of about, 60 people or something? And it really made Disneyland a rock star when it came to collectibles, souvenirs, little things that you could get. People would say, I clutch my wallet to my chest because I spend it so easily. This is all around the 50th anniversary and before. Okay, so an advisory committee of all of you. You could have an advisory committee of Marvelites who like Marvel, of Star Wars people who like Star Wars, because then it becomes a no-brainer. I am a sculptor who sculpts collectibles, and I never sculpt a collectible without asking people like you. Most of the time, I talk to the people on my Patreon page, Terry's Tribe. This is a collection of creme de la creme of people, and I ask them straight up, what do you think we should do next? And we discuss it. And I say, I want to do this or this or this. When the Roly Crump chess set came out, I asked them about how should it be presented to collectors? Because the Roly Crump chess pieces are six inches tall, and a whole chess set is going to be quite an investment. The chess board fits on a card table, guys. It's a lot of real estate for those of you who have large collections. So it's not going to be an inexpensive piece. So they were helping me to present to Roly, before he passed away last year, what we might do, and he agreed. And that was because I asked you first. I asked the people in the tribe first, and I asked them first. And they are very, very good about giving me advice and counseling. So this is my position. I know it's a little soft, and it's because I want you to feel free to say something if you want to. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But I just saw this coming across the feed. A lot of people were asking me, you like I'm grateful. Excuse me. I'm grateful to George Lucas. I got to tell George Lucas, thank you, because it was his film, Star Wars, that changed my life. And I wanted him to know. And I was blessed. I was fortunate enough to work on Captain EO and walk up to him face to face, sit down with him, introduce myself, and have a conversation with him, telling him how much that movie meant to me. And that not only did the movie mean a lot to me, Star Wars, but his perseverance in getting it done, that he just didn't give up. He went from studio to studio to studio to studio, slam, 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 door, 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 door. And he still got it made. And now all of those that slammed the door in his face wish they had a piece of it, right? So I told him his tenacity, his spirit, his determination, and his vision is what changed my life. So I got to tell him that. And that was really great, to look into his face and tell him that, and to see him smile. Because he really did think I was some kind of a nut. He heard about my viewings before he got to meet the girl. And then later on Captain EO, I walked up and introduced myself. So it was really a great opportunity for me. And I thank God every day for having that opportunity. Absolutely. Let's go to you and see what you have to say today. I can see that Joe is in the house, so we're going to have fun with that. Well, there she is, sister-in-law Melanie. You look good on camera. Thank you, Melanie, for joining us today. This is my sister-in-law, Melanie. She's an amazing singer, and her husband plays the trumpet. They are, I would say, what, Melanie, semi-retired, right? Because an artist is never really retired, are they? But the difference between working as an artist and being a retired artist is you get to do what you do best. You get to write your own songs and create your own work and play the tunes you like to play or not. You have the right to sit on the porch, look at the sunset, and watch your dogs play in the yard. It is really cool to observe the wonders that are the earth and the air around you and everything. Yesterday, I sat on the porch while my dog exhausted herself telling the world what was going on. Do you see that mommy's on the bench? In dog language, of course. Do you see that mommy's on the bench? She's sitting there. Look she's sitting. She's not moving. Look, take a picture, because she never does this. She's doing it so I can run back and forth and tell you the news of the neighborhood. The lady across the street is doing an ADU. That's right. She had to wait 4 years. And the other dogs walking by are like, and my dog, so it's really fun when people walk by. I say she's just trying to get all the news in from the left side of that fence to the right side of that fence, because many people just keep walking their dogs. Some stop to get the latest news from my dog, but most keep walking. So she knows she's got to do her elevator bark, and she does. She tells them all about the news. I said, she's not getting angry at you. She's telling your dogs about the news. We met a new dog yesterday named Meatball, and he was adorable in a really cute sweater. And he stopped to hear the news because he had never heard this before. And then he kept looking up at Dad saying, this is a very gregarious animal over here. I think I'll step back a foot. And Dad, I think we should go now. But so I did that most of the day yesterday. It was a really warm, lovely day. And my dog really enjoyed it. So by the time we retired, she was gone. It was like she had gone to a play date, because I just was out there letting her do what she does best. And she was very, very happy. And I was too, because I felt the warm air, and I just could look across the street and see what was happening in my neighborhood, and see the kids play and all that kind of stuff. Drink a cup of coffee, go in, grab my lunch, come back out, eat my lunch, say hi to people walking by, etc., etc. Really acting like someone who had all the time in the world. So I really enjoyed it yesterday. My husband came out, and we put our heads on each other's shoulders and swung in the porch swing, and just sort of enjoyed the day. That's retirement. That's having all the time in the world instead of meeting deadlines, which was my life. I had to meet quite a few deadlines, and I have deadlines that I still have to meet. I have a couple. But it was nice to do that because I've had to be the adult in the room for quite some time. It was nice not to be yesterday. So it was kind of cool. It was very cool. So, hi, Melanie. Thank you. Great energy. Yeah, you know me, girl. Hi, Pete. Good morning. Excited to join. I'm excited to have you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so some things are coming up, guys. The Disneyana show and sale, the DFC show and sale. Have you heard about this? Maybe many of you know about it. You can Google them, Disneyana Fan Club on Facebook, or you can go to disneyana.org and learn about their show and sale, which happens on the 21st of April, which is coming up, isn't it? Yay! Yes, it is. Like a freight train. Hold on. Yeah, they're showing sales on Sunday, and it's free for you to go to. It's in the city of Orange, and 100 the City Drive, I think, is the address. But you can look it up. You can come for free. If you park on the property, though, it will cost you $8. But hey, it's great to shop. It's collectors selling to collectors, so you get the history with a lot of stuff that you buy. It's really, really cool. And then I'll be there, as well as several other artists will be there, and we sell what we make, so you can kind of learn about that. Come and talk to us, get something autographed, and things of that nature. So excellent. That's coming up. The Red Dot auction for Chuck Jones is coming up on April 27th. If you've never participated in one, I highly encourage you to do so. You can even donate a painting. To learn more, chuckjones.org, Chuck Jones Center for Creativity.org, and you can learn more. I will try very hard to post on my page and Instagram this information, but it's been crazy for me this past year and a half. So I'm getting back in the swing of things. So I see light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm excited about it. So good morning and welcome, Pete. Welcome. Hello, Bob Berdine. He says good morning to all y'all. Joe Penny says good morning, everyone. Good to have you back, Joe. We missed you the other day. We always miss you, mister. I have made blue milk for years, says Jeanette. Mixing in a half a spoon of fruit, only blueberry jam. Yum. Oh, that's interesting. So here's another you guys should list your blue milk hacks, because this is far better than buying the stuff off the shelf, because it's going to have a lot of stuff that shouldn't be in there because it's got to have a shelf life. This was pointed out by one of my tribe members on my Patreon page, who's a chef. He's like, it's going to have a lot of stuff that's not good for you to put in your body. So we started to discuss recipes we do. Me, just a drop of food coloring and drink the milk. I love the milk. But listen to Jeanette. You want a little sweetness? Yummy. A little berries and milk flavor? That's good. So great idea. Joe says, I don't think I agree with George Lucas about Bob Iger, but his perspective is different from mine. I certainly don't hate George for it, though I just respectfully disagree, as I love about you, Joe. But he's a shareholder. I don't know how much of the company he owns, and his wife is a shareholder, I believe, on the board of directors, or at least she used to be. So he's likely knows Bob personally. I don't think Bob is a bad person, but he's just not someone who I believe respects Walt's legacy. And you could be absolutely true. I know Bob Iger. I have not met him personally, or if I did, it was very, very fast. He knew my husband's father for quite some time, used to sit on the floor and watch Lindsay's dad call the games. So his father knew him quite well. He seemed to be pleasant enough, But this is a tough job. And I think in his defense, um, I think you could be absolutely right, Joe, about the Walt business, and I don't understand why you would take this position. That's the thing that really bothers me. There no under no circumstances is there a good reason to erase the Walt Disney. That just is ridiculous. That just is insane. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I'm attacking you personally, Bob. I don't mean to do that. I think the idea is insane. Let me say it that way. Not that you're insane. I think the idea is insane, and I just can't imagine that you wouldn't add Walt to it, because Walt is the foundation of the Disney company. So never forget that. So I agree with you in that respect. But I have to say, what I love about you, Joe, and all of you on this channel, is that you respectfully disagree. The idea is to disagree with the idea, not insult the person who has that opinion, right? Which I almost did. So, by example. So anyway, no, I just think the idea is really crazy to erase Walt. I always have. I don't know. I don't like that. I'll tell you what I also disagree with, and that is to put every movie that Disney releases under the Buena Vista brand, because now it's tarnished. The Walt Disney Pictures Buena Vista brand used to have a couple of other Touchstone pictures and another one that did the more R-rated, PG-rated, things like that, so that parents didn't have to screen every film in order to make sure it's what they wanted their children to see. They could just go to a Buena Vista or Walt Disney Picture knowing it was going to be rated G, and sit comfortably and relax and know that their children would be safe. Nowadays, they have to screen everything, don't they? Because you just don't know what you're going to see. And some of it can be quite upsetting. So I just think they should have a couple of categories, but maybe they were worried that the categories, the G's would not get any attention. But when you have little kids who watch it over and over and over again, I don't think attention is the problem, but then that's my thinking, right? I welcome yours, and thank you, Joe, for your opinion, of course. Linda, good morning, Terry. Love you. Have a great day. Linda, welcome, and thank you for popping in. Linda says, I wish they were smaller so I might be able to get a set. Here's the thing about the Rolly Crump chess set. I will address that now, especially for you, Linda. And there will be more. I've sculpted 3 of the pieces. Before Rolly crossed over, we designed together all the pieces. So I have the clays of all the pieces, but the clays are merely quick structures that I did so that, because Rolly and I both knew that there was a very good chance he was on borrowed time. So we used our time efficiently, he and I and his wife. We used our time efficiently to make sure everything that he wanted in the chess set was handled before he crossed over. And we did a great job. The pieces are beautiful. And if I do say so myself. Anyway, they're beautiful. He's really happy, but he insisted on them being this big. I mean, seriously. And I kept trying to ask him to do them smaller. He would not do it. Originally, I was just going to do one set, present it to him and his wife so he could have it in his home. But so many of you found out I was doing it, and you have the best communication. See, this is another thing about friends and fans of Disney. You have the best communication systems. When I was putting my stuff in the parks, it was incredible how you knew about it. And I said nothing. You just had a way of finding out. And I thought that was adorable about you. Martha Blanding used to get angry at me because she said I was leaking the information. I never did. True. Scouts honor. Never did. But you guys just have a magic about you. You have a way of finding out things. All of you out there who are Disney enthusiasts. And so the Rolly Crump chess set, Rolly, after hearing so many people say Museum of the Weird, Terry, you're doing Museum of the Weird, I heard you're doing Museum of the Weird, chess set. What was that? Chess set. I sat down with Rolly on a Zoom call and said, Rolly, how would you feel if we did several different versions of the chess set, tiers, if you will. So there is the big kahuna, which is the entire chess set, chessboard, and I'm going to try and get a box for it. I may not be able to. It may have to be some other container for you. But you would get all the pieces for the chess set so that you could actually play chess. That's the one thing that I said to Rolly has to be. If it's going to be a chess set, I don't want it to be like a lot of collectible chess sets I've seen online for Lord of the Rings or Alien or whatever. They're too fragile, they're too delicate, and I just defy you to play chess with them. Many other artists who have created things of this fashion say you never play chess with them. But I know there's one or two of you out there that will actually play chess with it, and it's your right, because why? It's called a chess set. This was very important to Rolly to be a chess set. He loved chess. He loves chess. And I don't know if he played it much, but he loved it much. So we never really got into that deep conversation about it. But I said, I need to be allowed to make them chess pieces. So I took his Museum of the Weird chess pieces, and I've turned them into chess pieces. And he was there watching me every step of the way, A to Z, until he crossed over. So he has agreed. First of all, he picked the colors, bone white and blood red. Are you surprised? I doubt it. If you know Museum of the Weird, you'll go, of course he did. So bone white is one color, blood red is the other color. And he worked with me on the blood red because he wanted to make sure you could see all of the features of the pieces, because those pieces are highly intricate. And it was his last collaboration was with me. I was handpicked. I'm very honored to have been handpicked. It says a lot about my work, and someone I admire greatly. I loved Rolly, and I still love Rolly. So this is an exciting adventure for me, but I've had to put it on hold because I lost Rolly, and then I lost my father. So it's been tough. I'm not going to say it's not. It's been some challenges for me. That's all. But I'm about to get back. April 1st, we're getting back in the game. I hope. I've got to talk to his wife and tell her that I'd like to pick the release date as October. We'll see. But back to the tiers. So you have the big kahuna, and then you have tier 2, which I think most people are saying that's what they want, which Rolly and I agreed together. He agreed. He gave me permission to do a set of representations of each piece. So it's a set of 6 in either bone white or blood red. And if your budget can afford both, you could have 6 red and 6 white if you wanted to. And this brings the price. It's a lot more. It's not. I want to say this because if you have the means to invest in the full set, you need to do that, because I think we're only going to have an edition of 5 or 10, and that's it. And the other one is going to have a bigger edition, and it's going to be the 6 pieces. But I wanted everyone to be able to possibly afford it. But this too will be a bit of an investment. I can't give you numbers yet, because one of the things I learned about the Rolly Crump chess set is each piece has its own quirk. Usually when I do a set of anything, I can do one, get an idea of how it's going to sculpt out and how it's going to happen, and I can price the other figures. I have not been able to do this. I thought the Candleman would be one of the simpler figures. He's the knight in this, and he was so difficult. Rolly and I went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth for weeks doing this until Rolly finally signed off on it. I did the most difficult pieces first, with the exception of the king. The king is very difficult, but I did the queen, it's done. The bishop, which is the chair, you all are familiar with the chair, and the candleman, which you're all very familiar with. He wanted the candleman to look like it was dripping, and of course, I had to make some alterations to make it play like a chess piece. Because unlike checkers, or unlike anything else, you don't hold from the side to move your chess piece. You hold from the top, and you move the chess piece like this, and then you put your finger on top like this and wait to see if that's the move you want to make. So all of this had to be pretty sturdy on top of each piece. So that's where Rolly and I began to work, how to make them strong enough that if you actually wish to play chess, they will hold up. So more on that. I'll show you pictures and all that kind of stuff as soon as I get the go ahead from the Rolly Crump Grid. And then the third tier is a book. I'm going to put together a book so that if you're someone who wants to be a part of the whole experience of A to Z, that book will be an A to Z book. I can say it's probably going to be around $100 for the book, or maybe a little less. Maybe it'll only be 40, but there will be a collectible version that'll be $100, $200, linen, lay flat, all that. We're going to do maybe a couple hundred that are like that, so you can have them, we'll see. As we get closer, guess what we're going to do? We're going to ask you. Okay. So be ready. Okay. So thank you for that question. And they are a little smaller, Linda. Not smaller this way, but smaller in amounts you can buy. The one thing Rolly made me promise was not to sell them individually and to not put his artwork with them. He just didn't want that. So if you have been following his son, Chris has been selling this this really nice Rolly Crump book right here. Oh, I've got it at the back, so I got to show you the front. But I've got to take a few things out because this was a special edition, and I don't know if he offers it with these special things, so I don't want to get your hopes up. But here's this amazing book, and you can just Google Chris Crump. He's selling these, and this is a book that he found he had quite a few of, and it has a lot of his art inside. So this was based on the show that happened in Oceanside. It's kind of about that show, and shows Rolly's great yummy stuff. Smoke marijuana. We all know that was big. Don't Lose Your Marbles, the one by my finger. This book is really fun, and so look it up. Chris is selling these, and if you're lucky enough to be at an event where Chris is, he will sign it for you. And this one was a special showing where Rolly had at the Oceanside show signed a few of them. And so I have it signed by Rolly right here. So it's a very special book for me, obviously, for obvious reasons. You all know what reasons. So yes, so I was fortunate enough to have a great experience with Rolly all the way up until the day he died. I did not, however, get to sit with him face to face and get him to be able to physically hold the pieces because he was just too ill. They didn't want to, if he was going to take chances with people, they both felt it should be with family. And you can understand that. I can understand that. So consider this book. It's really cool. And it comes in paperback also, so you don't have to break the bank purchasing it if you're someone who, doesn't want a hardbound, although you are collectors, so you all kind of dig those hardbound books. So I don't think that's you. I just don't. But there you go. So that kind of helps you, Linda. I'll keep you all posted. You'll hear it here on this channel. You'll hear it on my Patreon page first and foremost. You may be asked what your opinion is on certain things on my channel. So do consider going to patreon.com, Terri Hardin, for as little as $5 tier. You can be a part of it. Forgive me. I'm battling a little something today, and I've been battling it for a while because I won't sit still. It's my fault, really. Bob Burdine says, I agree, Joe. Bottom line is he is a suit. He really doesn't care about Walt's legacy. His motivation is the profits, and he has put a positive spin, but fans can see it. That's true. That's really, I mean, he is torn, isn't he? He's all about the money. But I don't know. I know there are shareholders that want the money. I mean, I'm a shareholder. I have, how many shares do I have? Because when I was an Imagineer, they gave you shares. So I have quite a few shares. I mean, I don't have 8,000 shares. I don't have 1,000 shares. I don't have 500 shares, but I have a good amount. I have more than 20. But I don't really pay attention to it, I'm afraid. I really, really just wanted to support the company that I work with. But honestly, my shares haven't gone up in a long time. The dividend is the same. I think I get $15 or something. Yay! Steak and shake, here we come. But that's not really the reason that the lower tier shareholders are a part of the company. We love the company. So I think that if we, one person at a time, share the Disney love, and we can write to Bob. He may or may not listen to us, but shouldn't we speak out and write to him and tell him, how we feel? Don't get angry. Don't use swear words, but basically say, I'm Disney person, blah, blah, blah. I'm responsible for yada, 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 or I have been involved in blah, blah, blah. I am this, I am that. And I just want to tell you, hey, man, ask people. Don't tell, ask. In fact, I'll do that. I'm going to write him a letter. I'll write him a letter that he may or may not answer, right? He may or may not answer it. Forgive me. I have schmoogie under my nails and I'm cleaning them right now. But one letter is usually worth thousands and thousands and thousands of letters that were not written. So if you write a letter, I don't know what it means if it's an email, and I'm sure he has email screeners. But honestly, if you can find a way to write, maybe he has an address we could look up. I mean, Google really works. So maybe we find an address and we inundate him with letters, or we inundate him with emails, and we say, or if we see him walking around Disneyland, he has been known to do that, step and say, can I, Mr. Iger, may I have a word? And be polite, be kind, don't be angry, because people shut down when you start screaming and yelling, don't they? So just put your best self forward and discuss with him in a manner. I don't know if they will let you speak to him, but if you don't try, how would you know, right? So this is me. This is my belief and my feeling, and I would do it if I saw him. I haven't been fortunate enough to see him. I haven't been in the park in a while. So if I was there and I saw him, I would walk up. I would. In the entourage, I'd keep stepping in front of the entourage. They may then step around me and walk past me, and I'd come back to the front and step around me. I mean, maybe you get a group together, and then the group does this, right? All of you get together. Say, Bob, can we just talk to you for a minute? You're here to know what's happening in Disneyland. We are Disneyland. Would you take a minute and talk to us? I mean, who knows? Maybe he would. Maybe he'd do it. And he might not allow you to run your he might not allow you to put it on social media or anything like that. He may say no to that, but that doesn't matter. You can talk about it afterwards, after he walks by. Film him approaching, and then film him leaving, and then talk about it. And then you can bracket him in the middle of your talk if you want, because I think if you're not putting him on record, he might speak more frankly to you if you can get him to speak to you at all. I mean, isn't that the way we should be thinking, Bob Berdeen and Joe? Isn't it the way? I mean, if you stay calm and you simply ask. I mean, I don't know how a person can resist you, but he could surprise me. But honestly, that's my feeling about that. That's what I think. Let's ask him. Good morning. Hello. John, I'm dying to go to your resort. I haven't been in Florida for a couple of years, and I'd love to go to your resort. I am hoping I can get down there soon and see you. I miss you, buddy. I miss you a lot. Yes, I do. Bob Iger is a very good corporate leader, but he's not a movie guy. It's true. Yes. And he's not a theme park guy. Technically, he's a television guy, and he didn't even become a part of Disney until 1995 when Disney bought Capital Cities ABC. Some people have suggested Michael Eisner return, and I would say no to that too. He might have been good for the company in many ways, but back in the 80s, but he's also an outsider from the East Coast who might be a good corporate leader and might have been great for other ... I worked with Eisner. I knew Eisner. Okay, Eisner, I can speak of knowing him. I once hit him in the head with a baby bottle during the 20th anniversary of Walt Disney World, I think. I hit, I was Baby Sinclair's arms in Dinosaurs, and I went bam and hit him. So it was a fun time, actually. But anyway, he turned out to be, he's a lovely guy. And of course, it has nothing to reflect on whether or not they're lovely people, okay? But as Joe points out, they may not be the right person to drive this boat, right? You got to know, or at least be willing to learn theme park. Okay, if you work for Nike, which for those of you who don't know is a shoe company, I'm not quite sure how managing a shoe company can work for Disney, because you got to have that energy, that childlike joy, like Roy Disney had, like Mary Blair had, like Walt Disney had it. Roy didn't have it much, but he had Walt to counterbalance. So you can't just be a bean counter or a money changer. You have to be someone who understands the joy and the love and the charm of each Disney park. Each Disney park is a jewel in the crown, and it's different. You can't treat them all the same, just like you can't treat people all the same. So you have to look at each individual facet and then treat each one differently. Because let's just look at the United States. Walt Disney World, WDW, is nowhere near Disneyland. And Disneyland is not Walt Disney World. The people who attend are very different. The people who are a part of those are very different in many ways. You cannot group them all together. As I've said before, Disneyland collectors want things to be on model, crisp and clean lines. They aren't really into the abstract, strange, weird art that at Walt Disney World sells well. And so you need to know that if you're going to be creating for each park, you need to know what excites them, and you need to study. This is not a difficult thing to do with today's platforms that you can get on, like Google, and find this information out. Or, hey, go to a library. There's all kinds of ways to study. And if you are a Disney employee, CEO, or whatever, that should be number one. That you learn about Walt, you learn about the vision, you learn about the joy, and then you go out and you talk to people. You talk to the fans. Like I said before, Bob Iger and Michael Eisner could improve greatly simply by having an advisory committee made up of you guys. It would fix it overnight. I'm not kidding. People say my stuff sells out very quickly, and it does. But it's not because I'm such a genius, although I sculpt very, very well. It's because before I put to the clay, I ask you all on my tribe. But you benefit from it here on the YouTube channel. So, and if you come and visit me at a Disneyana fan event, you're more than welcome to tell me about a character that you want to see. Absolutely. And then there's always one of a kind. I do one of a kind pieces for you. If you love a character that Disney seems to diss or not want to do, you can ask me to do it. So that's what the situation is and what the world is like. And I'm going back to it, Joe. I'm going back to it. Everyone, I'm going back to the fact that, yes, Bob, Joe, ask the people. Just please ask the people. The Disneyana event is so much fun. We've been attending for 38 years. We are charter members. I hope you will all attend. It's cool. It's cool. And one of the smartest things they did was to make the show and sale free to participants. So now all you have to do is pay the $8 to park your car, and then you go in and it's free. And that is seriously exciting. Yeah, I highly recommend it. And you can't walk to the park from there unless you want to do a 10K. I think it's about a 10K, maybe a little more, to get over to the park from where this hotel is. But you can't drive over there. So, Saturday goes all day, but I think it starts a little later in the day. I had to have something for my throat. Starts a little later in the day. So you could zip over to Disneyland, have breakfast if you want, or Dole Whip if that's your speed. Ride a ride if you want. Pop in, especially if you're a pass holder. Get your reservation. Go in the morning. Be there for rope drop. Quickly ride Rise of the Resistance if that's your thing, and then go over and see the presentations. Where there's a will, there's a way, my friends. Where there's a will, there's a way. Schmagoogie under my nails. No, not under your nails. It was under mine. Okay. And mine are too long now. I have to keep them really short because I'm a sculptor. And right now They really need cutting. Where are those garden shears when I need them? Hi, Terry. How are you? I'm doing just fine, Mike. Much better today. Very sparkly. See? The sun's out. The sun's out. Yep, yep, yep. And that person would be yours truly. Oh, Joe Christopher Payne chiming in. Thank you. Eisner and Iger exploited the film library into the ground and became bean counters that produced uninspired products that failed to capture Walt's family brand. Why, Joel? Because he didn't ask the people who love these movies. It's as simple as that. There's this amazing girl on YouTube, and I have to say, forgive me that I don't know her name. She is just a charmer, and I had never heard her before, but my husband came across her feed on YouTube, and she talks about Mulan and how much she despises the live action Mulan, that it is just a direct insult to her culture, her family, and her history. But the reason that she's so fun to listen to and watch is because she adored the animated Mulan. And she said, although they made some mistakes and didn't get everything right, overall, this is a wonderful film. And as a Chinese female, she adored it. But she speaks fluent the language. That's her first language. Okay. She's from China. And so she will tell you little tidbits about Mulan that you may or may not know because she can read. You know, when Crikey writes the letter, she'll tell you what it says. And it's really cute. It's just adorable to hear her say it. So I'll ask my husband and we'll post it so you can go see her, because she is this particular one. I've only watched this one, but I just thought she was fantastic. And she talks about what would, why they did certain things in the movie and how actual animators responded to her in comments saying, you're spot on, girlfriend. You're right. For example, when Mulan goes with a group of people to see the matchmaker, Mulan's home reflects that she is a woman of some means, meaning financial means. And so the matchmaker would have come and seen her privately as opposed to in a group. But of course, Disney did this to make the movie more interesting. And she says this, and then an animator chimes in and she posts the comment to show you that the animator says, you got it, girlfriend. So she'll show you some faux pas. She'll talk about all kinds of things. Absolutely adorable. And a lot of things I agreed with her on, but I love Mulan so, so much. She is grateful for a lot of things that they did. And I'm not going to spoil it for you because you really should go see it. But she's great. She's amazing. And to ask someone like her would have been a benefit to Iger and Eisner. You ask. I know it sounds overly simple, but Walt knew this. He had an advisory committee. And if you've been on that advisory committee and then before it was disbanded, feel free to chime into the comments what it was like, because I knew a lot of you and you guys did a great job. And he really was grateful. Now, was he sitting with the advisory committee every time they met? No. But the people that he delegated took copious notes from y'all, and then he took it back, and as a result, the 50th anniversary was off the chain. People couldn't buy enough product because they really, really loved the product. They went crazy for it. I mean, come on, what idiot got rid of the Disney dollar? Come on, that's a crazy nut. That is a nut. Okay, I don't like to insult you, but that was a really dumb idea. Okay, let me pull back and not call you a nut, but the idea that you had was nuts, because shame on me for saying something about you. Let me rephrase that. That was a crazy idea. Okay, you or a team of you came up with this brilliant idea, and I'm being sarcastic, of using gift cards. Now, some people collect the gift cards. I'll give you that, but everybody collected the Disney dollar. As artists, they were illustrated all the time, some of them collectible, and you guys collected them. And guess what you didn't do? You didn't spend them. This is money for nothing and your chicks for free. This is what that is. It was actually minted by the US Treasury, these dollars. That's how far they went. And then someone thought, time for them to go away. Now I understand that they exist a little bit here and there, but I'm telling you guys, that was a gold mine. I wish I had come up with such an idea. Illustrated dollars that you buy and don't spend. Of course, we don't say don't spend, but you didn't. Oh, I want this one. It's Stitch, and you have them framed on your wall. I've seen it. It's incredible. Why would you not bring those back? I'll bet you if you asked, we'd all say, bring them back. And then hire a few artists to do them. Like Charles Boyer did one for the 50th anniversary. People stood in line for it. It was a $50 bill. And there were only, I don't remember how many they made. Like maybe the edition was 100 or 500 low. And that was money you were never going to spend because he signed them. Collectors know their own minds. You guys know your own minds. It would be so easy if Iger or Eisner would ask you. It's that simple, guys. It's that simple. And you would see the boat that's overturned in the water flip up. And you'd all be happy because they would be asking you. I don't know why it's so important to think you have all the ideas and not communicate it with the very people that you're trying to impress. I just don't get it. Joe says, and might have been great for other studios like Paramount and ABC, but like Iger, he's not a lifelong Disney guy. Disney has a very unique culture that was replaced by an outsider culture. Yeah, because they would look at the numbers, didn't they, and say, look, Nike's doing well. Bring them into the theme park. You know, I remember having a sit down with Bob Gurr. Happens often. Bob's a lot of fun. And Bob Gurr said, you know, I'm a member of the Theme Park Award Committee, a group of people who talk about the best theme parks and you get the awards. For years, Disney would shut everybody out. There was no way any other theme park could even get in because Disney kept killing it. You know, for years, Bob told me the story. And then one day they brought in these people and they started to fire Imagineers, and Imagineers were then scooped up by other people like Universal, Knott's Berry Farm. And they began to be able to compete because you had these Imagineering brains that were creative. And they said, no, do it this way here, do it this way. And they were listening. Okay. Do they all listen? No, they don't. But some are listening better than others. And I just think that, you know, this is that simple. Just Lord have mercy. Listen. You don't actually need to be a Disney guy. I disagree with that, Joe. But you have to be willing to learn about Disney. Okay, you need to learn about what it takes to run this company, to be a part of this company, to make this company special. To make the Disneyland special, to make Walt Disney World special, to make each of the parks overseas special. What makes them special? And then work on top of that. Ask the fans, what's missing? What's missing? What do you need? What do you want? What could we do to make it better? You got to ask that question. But they refuse to. It appears that they refuse to. And that's where the problem is, in my opinion. Linda says, I love Disneyland, much better than WDW. Well, they are two different parks, aren't they, Linda? I remember talking to people from Walt Disney World saying, gosh, Disneyland is so small. It's really small. You know, you can see it in a day, blah, blah, blah. They kind of say that about Hong Kong too. Wrong on both counts, but I'm digressing. What they seem to forget is it's the only park in the world where Walt actually walked. When they say follow in Walt's footsteps, you're actually following in Walt Disney's footsteps, like for real, not fake, because WDW wasn't around. It didn't open until after Walt had passed. So Disneyland is that park. You can actually recreate that walk out the back of the castle where we see Walt Disney walking with his hands in his pockets. You can, dress up like Walt Disney and walk back there and have your picture taken and then put it side by side with the Walt picture on your wall if that is something that excites you. You cannot do that at Walt Disney World. He was not there. Okay, maybe his ghost visited later, but that's a different story. All right. So there's a lot of things that he had his hands in, and there's reasons he liked it. The Haunted Mansion has lots of history. I'm sure you've seen it on Disney Plus or you've read about it in the books. He had his fingerprints all over everything. And we feel it, and we don't want to lose that. We don't want to see that go. Okay, Disneyland, I have felt, should be preserved. Clean it up, spruce it up as technology grows. Use technology to make it better. But don't erase a lot of the things that Walt adored, because just because you're saying it's got to grow, let it grow in other parks. We have other parks where you can progress. But I think a lot of people would love the retro of what Walt actually saw, be a part to ride these rides, to experience these attractions that Walt actually chose. Now, maybe you wouldn't. And this is why we'd ask you. You go on the theme, which Walt used to do storybooks and fairy tales and things of this nature, So that's what I feel about Disneyland. And Disneyland has a charm that no other park has because it's where Walt walked. Yeah, really, like for real. And there's history about it that's just so much fun. There's pictures you can see from 1955 that are just blow you away, and just hear stories, and they're wonderful. People tell the stories, and there's no better way of hearing a story about that than, from the person who lived it and walked it. And in the tribe, we have several people who knew Walt. So they share with us these stories, and it's magical to hear it, It's just magical. So that's what I like. I like to hear it from a person who's worked with Walt and been around Walt. And Bob Gurr saying, you'd stand there and Walt would say, we need a monorail for Disneyland. And Bob Gurr saying, I'm not sure if I know how to do that. And Walt clapped him on the back and said, you'll figure it out, Bob, and walked away. And Bob Gurr's like, and I can't tell you how many Imagineers who worked with Walt Disney had that same for just a fleeting moment. And then they got to work and they created what they created. So it's really cool to talk to them. Herbie Ryman used to sit at my desk when I was a full-time Imagineer in-house and be fascinated at the carving of Big Thunder Paris that I did with my partner at the time, Vasily. He would sit and chat with us for hours. He would sit on the edge of our art and be impressed by us. Herbie Ryman, Disney legend, drew the castle, mega, oh my gosh, in your presence. You know what I mean? Sitting there having a coffee, talking to you and telling you how impressed he is by your art. I mean, you had to pinch yourself. Am I dreaming? It was amazing. And he wasn't the only one. Ken Anderson, John Hench, Marty Sklar, Tony Baxter, all of them. Yeah. It's a good time to be an Imagineer. Yep, it really, really was. I agree that if we were to actually talk with Bob Iger, the proper way is to approach him with respect and with the desire to help him do an even better job of leading so that he can satisfy both the shareholders and the corporate needs, but also satisfy longtime fans. Well, here's the thing about that, Joe Penny. If you listen to the fans and you follow what the fans say, shareholders will be happy because Disney will be making even more money than they are now. I know right now they're making oodles of money, and a lot of us are very hurt by the way they're doing it. But I'm telling you, it would not go down, it would go up. What people don't seem to realize is without a good foundation, the house crumbles. And the foundation of the Disney company is you guys. And the sooner they get that through their heads, the better off the company's going to be. You are not a cow to be milked for every penny you have. You are someone to be respected, and you could be the counsel because you love them like family. Disney is your family. Disney is your ohana. I know this is true. And like Joe points out and Bob points out, Eisner and Iger weren't of the Disney. They didn't understand the Disney. They didn't, you see, when you don't understand something, you just don't railroad like a bull in the china shop and put your agenda, because look how well it works out. Thanks for playing. You get together with them and you go, what is it? I created a float, a rose float, for the 1996 Tournament of Roses called Dream Flight. I knew nothing about designing a rose float, but I did a drawing that was from my heart. Kids, laughter, and dreams, and I did a little dragon pulling a little boy. And it won for the city of Burbank. I then immersed myself with the city of Burbank's Rose Float Committee, people who eat, drink, sleep, and study roses and the Rose Parade. From chassis to flowers, they do all of it. And I went and I learned how to cut status, and I understand the facets. I learned that they start in January to build their float because they're a self-built team. I was so blessed to be with a self-built team. I learned a little bit of welding. I learned how to cut status. I learned how to pluck palm fronds. I learned about colors. I wanted my dragon to originally be red, and the flower committee said not red. It's got to be something like yellow. Why? Because it's very hard to get enough red. Most of the red is carnations, and they can be very, 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 very much a high commodity because too many people use red in the float. It's just an amazing, learning is fun. Why wouldn't Iger or Eisner get with guys like you, got people like you, fans like you, cast members like you, people like you, and ask? I love it. I can't learn every character. I don't know what the importance of Mickey Mouse is to people. He's not one of my favorite characters. Forgive me, but he's not. But he's one of yours. So I sit with you and I go, okay, if I'm going to sculpt Mickey Mouse, what do I need to know? And I don't need to know how to sculpt an ear or how to sculpt a face. I need to know, what is it that you love so much that you embrace Mickey like he's your brother? That's how I sculpt, is to take that heart, that excitement, that passion from you and sculpt in your light. You follow me? This is how I'm able to do some of the sculptures that I do, because I ask you, what is it that makes you so excited about that character? It's true. Yeah. I just did an amazing Jessica Rabbit, and Nate Singleton. It was a one of a kind, and Nate adores Jessica. Many people adore Jessica Rabbit, but he really did. And we sat together several times. It took me a while to do her. She's this big, one of a kind, and she's stunning. She's stunning because Nate sat with me and told me why she was special to him. He regaled me with stories as I sat there and sculpted, and my hands just seemed to flow as I slid, as I floated on the storytelling vibes of Nate Singleton and his passion for Jessica Rabbit. It happens. It happens. Having people like you tell people like Iger and Eisner why Disney means so much to you is infectious. I know, because it affects, not infects. Well, maybe infects me too. Affects me too. So honestly, this is why they need to hear from us. We must not give up. We must keep trying to talk to them and help them be better. Okay, nobody's going to be perfect, but they could be better, couldn't they? And the first thing they do is add Walt back in the mix. Don't try to erase that name. Those are fighting words, like that actress who started dissing Snow White. You stop it! Don't you dare do that! Don't you dare do that! Now you're putting down, you're bullying a family member. Stop it! You stop it right now. You see? Yeah, because people get up in your face. You're now dissing a family member. You look very nice today. Thank you, Mike. Aw, Mike's always good for a compliment. Thank you, Mike. You're such a sweetie. Disney needs its own TCM on television. A channel dedicated to nothing but classic Disney movies and TV called the Vault Disney Channel. I guarantee it would be constantly profitable. I think so. Because a lot of, I put together my own collection because I happen to be married to a very brilliant person. My husband's very brilliant. So like 8 years ago, he predicted that people were going to start putting their stuff behind firewalls. So we started collecting DVDs as early as 8 years ago. We have a huge library now. And that's because we want to be able to be the ones who choose when we see something. And a lot of, like Joe's talking about, a lot of the older movies are disappearing, not just Disney, but across the board. Do you know that yesterday I took a moment to see a movie called Roman Holiday? The script was by Dalton Trumbo, who was part of that horrible boycott because they thought he was communist. So he couldn't get arrested, let alone write. He worked around it. And one of the workarounds was Roman Holiday. It won Academy Awards, but not with his name on it originally. And then later they fixed that. But the script is amazing. And it's such a charming film. I had never seen it before. I had only seen a couple of scenes from it. And my husband picked it up for me because he said it's one of my favorite. And then I saw it and it quickly became one of my favorites. It is absolutely wonderful and charming, but not so easy to get. So you need to dig a little bit. Amazon kept selling out, I think, and it's a great DVD. It should be in everybody's collection. So what Joe is saying about classic Disney films is also true. You know, a lot of the ones like I think one of the ones that I had trouble getting. I mean, there's even older ones, you know, like the ones that are shorts that can be very difficult to get. But Song of the South, impossible for obvious reasons. And then what one was I going to think that was really tough for me to get? That was really, really old. Can't remember currently, but the more they move forward, the harder it is to get the beginning ones. And so it's very, very important that you get those. And I just wanted to have a choice. I didn't want, you know how Disney's pulling certain films and stuff, Joe? I didn't want that to happen to me. I wanted to be able to go to the shelf and pick the movie that I wanted and play it when I wanted to. So we are collecting DVDs so that we can have a choice instead of $200 a month for streaming. You know, pretty nuts. WDW has lost a lot of magic. I used to go every weekend, haven't been in years. I haven't been in a while either, but I can't blame WDW. In my case, I'm on West Coast. So Disneyland is an hour away based on traffic. So if I'm going to go, I'll go up the street rather than across the United States. But I would like to go again. The thing left me a little lackluster. My favorite park, of course, is Epcot. I love Epcot. And I just think Epcot is amazing. But Animal Kingdom is fun too. I'd like to go when it's cooler, not hot. My friend John E. Johnson, which you saw here, I said I hadn't been to Florida with. He's usually my escort. He'll take me there and kind of introduce me to the new rides. He was sweet enough to get me, to help me get on Pandora because I had been going and seeing him rather regularly. And every time we went, it was a 4-hour wait. So I kept saying, what do I got to do to get on this ride? I just want to ride it once and experience it. And finally we did a hack and he figured it out and we did it. And it was really fun. And I don't need to ride it again. I just really loved it. I thought it was brilliant, and that's the Tron ride, guys. When I was in Shanghai, I flipped over I just thought the Tron ride was amazing because you're in position and you're riding it. As an artist, I didn't really get to see the show when I was in that position. So I got the opportunity to sit in the handicap, which is an upright chair with a bar so that you can sit upright like you would in your wheelchair or whatever. But if you can lean forward, you have the ability to do it. It makes it more your choice instead of the attraction's choice. It doesn't pin you in that position if you have any challenges there. And most people who are coming are not handicapped and they don't want to sit in that chair. They want to be in the motorcycles. Of course they do. But I wanted to in order to see the show, and the show is spectacular. So I haven't been to the one in Florida, but the one in Shanghai is off the chain and is amazing. So I hope that that's the same. Joe says he'll be right back. He's off for a commercial break. There's my husband. Here is the woman I was talking about. I cannot pronounce her name, but you guys take a quick picture or make a note of where we are in the timeline and grab her name and look her up. And then tell her that I told you to come see her. She is fantastic. Look up her Mulan critique. It's brilliant. Very lovely, very, very kind. It's very direct. She's not mean. She's not nasty. She's just telling you her heart as a Chinese woman. And since they're trying to be good to cultures now across the board, people are trying to be respectful of cultures. I think it's very important to listen to someone Chinese about a movie that you did. How did it weigh with her? What did they do? She's telling them, and they said, good job. But she said she saw it looked like the people who did the Mulan animated asked the questions. The second one, no. She says it isn't really, the live action isn't really worth talking about because they did a lot of things that were insulting. So you got to see her. She's great. So I'm just, this is my husband. This is her in that little white bubble. Take a picture. Get your phone out. Take a picture, or come back and take a picture because you got to go see this girl. She's really something special. She really is. I agree. They were marauding vaults. They were, what is that word? Marauding, right? Walt's vaults. Their success was based on the talent at the studio. He had a formula for releasing his treasures every 7 years for Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. But again, this is all based on you guys. He did R&D with y'all, with you people, with all you people out there. And nowadays they have so many, they have Star Wars and they have Marvel and and so they really need to take a minute and ask you guys. It would just be so much simpler. It's like getting the Cliff Notes. Asking you is like having Cliff Notes. You remember Cliff Notes, the book that sort of like, if you had to read War and Peace, it sort of gave you the good points and the bad points of War and Peace, so you didn't have to read the tome. I still say you should. It's very interesting. But the point is that you are that shortcut. You are that special, wherever you live, you have a way everybody travels to get to your house or you to get from point A to point B. And then there's the, I live in this neighborhood shortcut. You are the same. You are a part of Disney. You are the shortcuts. You are the hacks, if you will. Not saying that your hacks is a bad person, but people will say, let me show you a little hack for getting into here. Let me show you a little hack for doing this. Let me show you a little hack to getting online and ordering your food at Disneyland. That's the way I mean it. Okay. And if that's the wrong word, fix it for me. Okay. If you're using a new word now and I'm behind the times, get me up to speed. I'm asking. When me and my son would be leaving Disneyland for the night, he would always tell cast members, thanks for the magic. There you go. There you go. Joel says you have to have leaders that care about what Walt wanted, and you don't. They forget, or they never knew, because they don't pay attention and they don't listen. So there you go on that one, Joel. And Joel and I do art for the company, and you can't get over how many times we're just like, really? I mean, some of the things that people say boggle your mind. You just, how did they hire you? And you're trying to coach me in art that's going to be good for Disney. And it's not that I'm arrogant here. Please don't think it's an ego, although I have an ego. You need to study the ride before you poo-poo this thing, because this is in the attraction, by the way. So go ride the attraction and then come back and we'll have our meeting. True story. I had to do that a couple of times. It just makes you go, what? Are we assuming that you study Disney because you work for them? Yes, we are. And we do. Linda, I got goosebumps the first time I went to Disneyland. I pray it never changes. I agree. Build onto other parks. It's just that many of us who went as children are now grown. And we have children and grandchildren. And we want to share with them Walt's vision, which can only be seen at Disneyland. So I'm not saying not to update in certain areas. Like, for example, we got the Hatbox Ghost. I think Haunted Mansion, and I've said this before, I think Haunted Mansion really did it right. The technology caught up with the vision that Walt had, and we suddenly, because of a very wonderful Imagineer team as well, I'm sure, created the Hatbox Ghost and the Bride. Both of them were things that Walt wanted, but that were on the original sketches and stuff, but the technology was not there when it happened there. These went in. You see what I'm saying? This is how you upgrade Disneyland, right? Just a suggestion. But is there anyone listening? Bob says, yes, Terry, Bob Gurr, Connie Swenson Lane, our treasures of the tribe. I love their stories. Join the tribe. You will love it. Thank you, Bob. You always have a good word for the tribe. I agree. Iger should get with me and let me run things while he enjoys his millions. Just pay me a couple $100,000 a year and we're good. Post that several places, okay? Write him a letter and say this at the end, Joe, okay? Yes. I love Roman Holiday. Wonderful film. Yeah, my husband was surprised to hear that I had not seen it before. It's a romantic comedy, and I'm all about. I don't know why it missed me. I just think it was timing. And the other day, we have a system that can randomly go through our DVDs, kind of like it will play, like a carousel thing. It's not like that, but it's different. Anyway, I'm not going to get into it, but it will play different movies at different times. And one of the movies in there was Roman Holiday, and it came up when I had to do something. I always have to do something. And I got sucked in from the very first few sequences. I mean, how can you not? And it was really, really, Joe, it's a lovely movie. It's become one of my favorite, because it just makes you feel good. It's just beautiful. The acting is beautiful across the board, the charm, the excitement. And I had read, I saw Trumbo, the movie with Cranston, and I love the movie. I adored that movie. And so I bought the book about Trumbo so I could read more about it. I like doing that so I can see what did they leave off and why did they leave that out and why did they, because you have to cherry pick to make a movie. And it's good because they take the best parts and they try to do the best they can with the movie. And I thought they did a great job. Their casting was really good and the book was really fantastic. And so when I saw the movie, it was great because I really paid attention to the script because I knew Trumbo had written it under the guise of another name. It was really cool. Now, his name is on there now because they gave it back to him. They gave him the award back and they put the name back on. But during the time of this blacklisting, he had to write covertly, and it's cool. The movie's cool. The book is cool. And Roman Holiday was the first film that he actually sold incognito. And another person posed as the writer. So yeah, it's cool. It's a cool story. It's a really cool story. And it's a wonderful script. Wow. There are lines in there that you just go, oh, whoa, wow. Yeah, if you haven't seen Trumbo, you don't know much about Trumbo, you need to check it out. We corresponded with Bob Iger, says Bob, for years via email addressing Margaret Carey. Disney Legend we sent a petition with 500 signatures, including some Disney legends. He finally passed us on to Rebecca, head of the archives. When we met face to face, she asked who should she make it out to. When I told her my name, she paused and said, I finally put a face to the name. I was shocked. And so she does read her email. Well, and she's going to be there. Rebecca Klein is a guest at the Disneyana fan club event, and it's a much more intimate event, so you can actually talk to her after. Oh yeah, she and I have been friends for a while. So yeah, you can actually speak to her. Go up and get an autograph and speak to her this close, guys, or maybe this close, depending, right? But you can talk to her directly. Please do. They're trying to turn Anaheim into Florida, and it's just not going to work. No, Anaheim won't allow it. Anaheim has always been small and should remain small. WDW has sufficient room. They do. For expansion and experimentation. You can't cram everything that's great in Florida into Anaheim. And that's what they keep trying to do. And they don't need to. We can go to Florida. It's not that far. We can go to Florida and see what's in Florida. And that draws us to WDW. And then we keep Disneyland the way it is. And if we want things more modern and upbeat, we can just go across to California Adventure. I think that is one of the best formulas, but it's not executed as the best of their ability. So I agree with you. I think that they need to stop worrying of changing Disneyland. Disneyland is one of several parks and could be the draw, and people will still go for nostalgia, to show their kids, to have quiet, to enjoy themselves, to see things they've seen before, to ride things they love to ride. I'm telling you. Missed a moment here. Maybe it would help with crowds if they expand. Maybe. But what does that do to the city of Anaheim? That's my question. But Anaheim has a really good Chamber of Commerce and board of directors, so they'll say to Disney, how are you preserving our city? They're not just going to let people, build a bunch of giant parking lots all over their city. They're not going to allow that. Even if the money's good, Anaheim still has some real sticklers. So, you can kind of hope on that, Diane. Diane Sebel, no, it hasn't helped so far. It only attracts more people. If it was still just Disneyland, you would naturally have a specific limit. There you go. That's why one of the things is nice is having people here. Walt also said something like Disney will never be done. Yes, but this is what I'm talking about. This is what corporate uses to change the park. And I'm saying you can do it like you did the Haunted Mansion. Upgrade as technology catches up, because a lot of this stuff was way before its time. So you preserve that and then you build the other stuff. So you preserve that which Walt walked. Because once you erase it, Diane, you can't get it back. Once you erase the walk in Walt's footsteps, you have no footsteps to walk in. You follow? There's only one park he actually walked. Disneyland, Anaheim, California. That's it. That's it. Diane Sebo, yeah, Disneyland will never be completed as long as there is imagination left in the world. But that doesn't mean there's room for everything we can imagine. Ooh, well said, Joe. Hi, Terry and her fans. I forgot it was Friday. I'm busy. She says she's too busy, but she's here. Good going, Diane. Good for you. Lee, I have to join the tribe. Having issues. I have no plastic money right now. Well, sweetie, reach out to me and we'll talk about that, okay? Yeah, plastic, it does have to be attached to a credit card. That is the one thing. But I think, yeah, we'll talk off air, something like that. All right, guys, 1.5 hours. I have got to run. It is Friday. I've got a lot to do, a lot to create, I've got so much I want to do, and there's so much I need to do, both for my personal life and also for my fan life, and also because I love to do stuff for charity. So I've got that to do. And so I love you guys. I'm going to sign off now. I'm going to look at these last 2 comments. Joe says, Lee Forbes, have you tried getting an account at Capital One Bank? They're fairly easy to get an account. Joe, what a rock star you are to suggest that. I have no money for the tribe either. There is a way to go on there and join for free. You won't get to do what the paid members do, but I haven't really done a lot with the free members, full disclosure, but I will. I got some suggestions from other ambassadors on how I can include free members without doing a disrespect to those who pay the $5. I mean, it's $5 after all. Stop drinking Starbucks, is what I say. Have a great weekend, everyone, says Diane. See you Monday. Indeed you will, Mike. Do something nice for someone else. It'll make you feel a whole lot better. If you're depressed or sad, go out and do something nice. Just ask the Burdines. This is what their mantra is. So I love you. I hope you have a lovely weekend. I'm going to rest, and I will, well, at least I think I am. I will see you Monday. Bye for now. Be well. Have fun.